This is still test 2 review, and we're doing problems 18 and 19, which is write the fraction in lowest terms. So we're writing these fractions in lowest terms. What you're trying to do is for both the denominator and the numerator, you are looking at what number, and this is just a list of numbers, goes into both of those numbers. So you have to look at what number here, and you could think if this list was infinity, goes into 70 and into 90. Well, let's take a look. They're both even numbers. So 2 obviously goes into both of those numbers. But to help us make this quicker, we want to look for the biggest number we can that will go into both of these numbers. Does 3 go into these numbers? 3 goes into 90, but 3 does not go into 70, because 7 plus 0 is 7. 4 does not go into 70 or 90. 5 goes into both. But what other rule do you think of when you have a 0 ending on these numbers? Because 5 goes into both because it ends in zeros. But what else? And that answer is 10. And that's really a better number to start with. The higher number you can divide this numerator and this denominator by, and it always has to be the same number. If the bigger that number is, the quicker you're going to get to reducing. So 70 divided by 10 is 7, because 7 times 10 is 70. 90 divided by 10 is 9, because 9 times 10 is 90. Okay, so this is actually reduced 7/9. Now, if you noticed something about this fraction versus this fraction, this has zeros and this doesn't. Do you think maybe you could knock off zeros and get your answer? You sure can. Anytime you have a fraction, let's say it was 2, 1, 3, 0, 0, 0 over 2, 2, 2, 0, 0, 0, 0. Well, this is a pain. A quick way to start to reduce this is to knock off zeros. That leaves 213 over 2, 2, 2, and this 0 here, there. And then you would start to be able to reduce that. So you can just knock off the zeros and get the reduced fraction. And wherever that comes up again, we'll do it again. Alright, so that was easy. Now this one down here, let's look at reducing that one. This one, you know, it doesn't come to mind really fast. Well, what is divisible? The first thing that comes to mind is 2, because they're both even numbers. Now, I know that 18 times 4 is 72, and 4 times 22 is 88. That's the divisibility rule for 4, which is if the last two numbers are divisible by 4, the whole thing is divisible by 4. So if the last two digits are divisible by 4, then the entire number is divisible by 4. But I'm wondering if we can go up even higher than 4. For example, does 8 go into these two numbers? The divisibility rule for 8 is you have to look at all three numbers. There isn't really a trick for that. So let's just mess around and see if it'll work. Does 8, I wonder if 12 goes into those two numbers. Does 8 go into 272? And unfortunately it's a little bit of a guessing game. You can use prime factorization. We'll talk about that. So 8 times 3 is 24. 27 minus 24 is 3, and that's 32. So far that's good. 34 times 8 is 272. And let's see, does 8 go into 288? 8 into 28. I don't think that's going to work, because you have 4 times 8 is 32, 3 times 8 is 24. Oh, you never know. Oh, it works. Okay, 48. Subtract 6 times 8 is 48. So, we can start with this common factor between the two. So if we were to divide by 8, instead of starting with 2 or 4, let's go to 8. Divide the numerator by the same number as the denominator. You can't choose different numbers. So 8 times 34 is 272. So 8 divided by 272 is 34. We're getting a new fraction here. 8 divided by 288 is 36. Well, it's still not low enough, because we can still, these are two even numbers. Once again, we can just cut each of these in half and see what we get. I think half of 34 is 17. So if I were to divide by 2 for these, there's always so many functions, it could get confusing. So that's 17, and then 2 divided by 36 is 18. Now the good news about a prime number, once you get a prime number in the numerator or the denominator, the only way it can reduce further is if the prime number goes into the other number. Well, 17 does not go evenly into 18, so you are done at this point. It's 17/18 is what this number reduces to.